has been in power. And then during our tenure, when there were incidents involving the security and autonomy and authority of bureaucrats, such as the Durga Shakti Nagpal case, you found the Congress president intervening immediately. You found the Congress party standing up for the autonomy and freedom of bureaucrats. So, as you can imagine, we welcome the fact that the BJP has also decided to endorse the Congress party's approach on bureaucracy. Then we have a point saying education, health, water, energy and roads will be priority. But who said they are not priorities? They've been priorities since 1947. And they've also had 6 years in power with these priorities. We've had 10 years in power. Is that a valuable contribution to your appreciation of the BJP's work? What else are they giving us? Transparency in government. E-auction will be promoted. This is point number 4. First of all, we had sought in vain the cooperation of the BJP in passing anti-corruption legislation, the public procurement bill, the implementation of the Whistleblower Act. Let the BJP act on these, both the recently passed and the pending legislations. They will have our cooperation if they want to pass any of the bills that we put into the 15th Lok Sabha, but their disruptions would not allow us to pass. And of course, the original piece of legislation on transparency was the RTI Act. We're proud of that act. We'd like to see it better implemented in some parts of the country, such as the state of Gujarat, where we've not been able to see the RTI Act functioning as it was intended to. We welcome the idea of e-auctions. Again, it would have been wonderful if e-auctions had been used before tendering land in Gujarat to certain favoured industrialists. But since apparently these ideas only come after national power has been taken, we welcome seeing this introduced, and we would like to see it happening transparently in the functioning not only of the BJP government in the centre, but of the BJP governments where they exist in various states. Then there is a point on interministerial coordination. What has this got to do in a national vision document? There are already institutions where cabinet secretary and others are already doing this. This is not something as part of a big vision agenda in the first few days of a new Prime Minister and a new government. Then the 6th point, they simply borrowed UPA language, a people-oriented system. Shabash, we're very happy that the BJP is discovering the UPA virtues of being people-oriented. Number 7 says, addressing concerns related to the economy. What does that mean? Can you imagine a vaguer statement from a government? Has not every government addressed concerns related to the economy? They may have done it well, they may have done it badly. But what does this point mean? I'd be very grateful if somebody can explain this to us. Number 8, infrastructure and investment reform. Again, equally vague. Is every country, every government in every country not concerned with that country's infrastructure? We, UPA, during our last 10 years, we have created 19,500 kilometers of national highways. We've built 5 major new airports. We've upgraded and rebuilt 37 non-metro airports. We have built metro rail in new cities, Jaipur, Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Kochi, started. We have increased power generation from 5,58,300 million units to 6,07,200 million units, and increased nuclear power capacity to about 38,000 million units. So, infrastructure, we would like the BJP to prove themselves capable of matching this record to begin with. As far as investment reforms, I worry a little bit about the party that was best known during UPA 2 for opposing FDI in retail, an area in which there were very many investors anxious to come and invest. I hope that they will do better when they are actually seeking to attract investment in the areas that they desire to invest. Number 9, equally vague, implementation of policies in a time-bound manner. Obviously, all policies have to be implemented in a time-bound manner, and we'll give them the time frame, 5 years. They're not coming back after that. So within 5 years, please implement all your policies in a time-bound manner. The electorates will make sure it's time-bound. And number 10, stability and sustainability in government policy. Let us say that that is a very thinly veiled appeal, that they want to be sustained and stable in power for a very long time. Let us simply say that as long as they come up with documents and statements to the nation as vague as this, we're going to have a real doubt, wondering where the stability will come. For stability, you need firm foundations. Our Congress President gave you the example of the firm foundations and the pillars on which our policy and our approach rests. We have yet to see in this document or on any of the statements from the BJP since they have assumed office on the 26th, we are yet to see any firm foundation. And stability, I'm afraid, requires firmer foundations than this 10-point agenda. So that is simply my opening remarks. I'm very, very happy to say to you that it's always good to see you all, and that I'm so glad you are here in such numbers. Any questions or issues you have? Please.
Your government pulled off so many accomplishments on all fronts. Why did you lose the election?
I know this is the question that we are constantly asking the voters who didn't vote for us, and that we're also asking ourselves. You know, there is a process of introspection going on. And I think it's important because, to be honest with you, there was a very interesting article in one of the newspapers, one of the English newspapers last week, by a foreign political science professor who's a very well-known figure, published many books on Indian politics, James Manner, who has argued in great detail that the one thing this election was not was a verdict on performance. It may have been a verdict on various other deficiencies. We are not claiming any great successes. But I can tell you that on performance, UPA has a 10-year record second to none. There is no 10-year period in the history of independent India where better performance and more progress has been made for the Aam Aadmi and for the people of this country. So it is a particular irony that we still managed to mess up this election. But the performance record is very, very good.
I wanted to know from you, there's been a huge clamor within the party, especially from CWC General Secretaries, who believe that Rahul Gandhi should be the leader of the House in the Lok Sabha. Mr. Gandhi has been nominated. And they say that if Rahul Gandhi doesn't accept, then he should quit politics. Because the mandate was for him, he was asked to lead the campaign, and even though you have got a drubbing and was 44, you either perform now as leader of the House and be pitted against Narendra Modi, or otherwise quit. What is your response to that?
Well, let me say very clearly that the Congress Parliamentary Party gathered in the Central Hall of Parliament last Saturday. I was there. We unanimously resolved to elect the President of the party as also the leader of the Congress Parliamentary Party, and that is Mrs. Sonia Gandhi. We also left it to her to decide who should lead the party in each house. There will be two people named, one in the Lok Sabha, one in the Rajya Sabha. I might add that the CWC had earlier taken the position that neither the resignations of Mrs. Gandhi nor the resignation of the party Vice President Rahul Gandhi would be accepted, precisely because, as you yourself said, that they have the responsibility to lead us out of this trough that we find ourselves in after the last election. And they have accepted that responsibility thrust back upon them by the CWC. Now that we have given them the responsibility, it is our duty to wait for them to decide. So let the leader of the Congress Parliamentary Party decide who to appoint. I can't sit here and advise her.
But Advait, do you think he should quit?
I mean, I think she will make the decision, and I have no doubt that the lines of communication between the party president and the party vice president are excellent.
You just said that UPA's performance was second to none. Some of your colleagues are saying that the product is bad, you can't sell it. How do you react to that?
I'm sorry.
Some of your colleagues are...
No, I think that you know, when I think there's this comment that's also been made by one of my colleagues. I think it was Vijay Singh, who said that, you know, success has many fathers and failure is an orphan. Somehow finding reasons for failure produces many fathers and mothers as well. So in the search for reasons for what we all admit was an unexpectedly poor performance in the election, and a setback that we are still analysing and coming to terms with, in finding reasons, various things have been said, including this comment that you mentioned that the product was not good and could not be packaged. I would respectfully submit that this is not true. May I add that I myself have published a couple of very detailed, fact-filled articles, one in the Indian Express, one on the BBC World website last year. I'm sorry?
You have given some 7 suggestions.
Yeah, it's me. I've given arguments in the last year, well before the election, pointing out how good the performance of the UPA government 1 and 2 has been. So this is not a new discovery. I'm merely mentioning an outside observer because an outside scholar has written this as recently as last week. But I have always consistently argued, and I have the paper trail to prove it. Even before I became a spokesman of the ICC, I have argued that the performance of UPA 1 and 2 is astonishingly good, and it's a mystery why we're being attacked by some of the very people who should know better. Be that as it may, it's water under the bridge. Clearly, despite our performance, we lost. It is not that the performance was not there. There were a number of factors. I can tell you that the Congress President and Vice President are daily receiving dozens of party leaders from around the country, from all levels and all parts of the country, who are coming and giving their views, their explanations, their suggestions. The process is very much on. Don't think. Sometimes people in the media have been saying to me, why we've seen nothing but silence from the party. The silence is the process of introspection. Introspection, by definition, cannot be extrovert. It is something that is taking place within. But I know for a fact, because I myself have been part of these conversations with the President and the Vice President, that many of us are going to them. Many people. And they are seeing people in very large numbers sequentially, one-on-one, listening patiently. They are getting a good sense of what is the feeling within the party as to why what went wrong. Believe me, we're taking this seriously. You don't come down from 211 by the end of UPA to 44 without really feeling that you need to find out what happened. And we're doing that.
No, I'm just trying to understand.
I'll come back to that side.
No, are you putting blame on the organization? Because when you say the UPA government performance was excellent, UPA 1 and 2. So are you blaming the organization?
No, you see, the UPA government is a reflection of the party. The policies followed by UPA 1 and 2 were policies developed and articulated by the Congress Party and the UPA member parties on the basis of the fundamental convictions of the party. So why do we do certain things? We do them because they fit in within these four fundamental pillars that Sonia Gandhi ji spoke about on Sunday. So you really have to look at this picture. I know that frankly in the media the narrative of clash, a binary narrative is always more interesting. Prime Minister versus party president, Congress party versus UPA government. Reality isn't like that. Very often the same people are in both places. And very often what one does is a result of proposals by the other. This was a seamless thing. Whatever has gone right, both can take credit. Whatever has gone wrong, both will find out the reasons at the end. Okay, now look, I'm sorry. Keeping with the times, I instinctively turn to the right, now I'll turn to the left. बताइए.
आपकी पार्टी की पोडियम से आपके सीनियर मिनिस्टर आनंद शर्मा, चिदम्बरम, तमाम लोगों ने कहा कि ओपिनियन पोल, एग्जिट पोल जो होते हैं स्पॉन्सर्ड है, फैब्रिकेटेड है और मीडिया की क्रेडिबिलिटी पे आपने लगातार सवाल खड़े किए और ये बताया कि बायस है. अब जब हमारे सब्सक्रिप्शन से भी, हमारे एग्जिट पोल से भी ज्यादा सीट पोल आए, आप तो सज्जन आदमी हो सर, क्या आपको ऐसा नहीं लगता कि आप लोगों को माफी मांगनी चाहिए मीडिया से?
देखिए मेरे ख्याल में हमको मीडिया को कभी ऐसे आरोप नहीं है कि हमको बायस है. हमने कहा कि हमारे देश के इतिहास में ना पोलिंग ना एग्जिट पोलिंग बहुत एक्यूरेट रहा है. आप देखिए 25 साल से ये चल रहे हैं, कितने पोल्स हैं जो एक्यूरेट हैं और कितने पोल्स हैं जो इनएक्यूरेट हैं. 2004 में सारे पोल्स कहे कि बीजेपी वापस आ गए, हम जीत गए. 2009 में सारे पोल्स कहे कि बीजेपी हमें डिफीट करके फिर सरकार बनी, हम फिर वापस आ गए. मतलब 2014 में हम 25 साल के एविडेंस के साथ हमने कहा कि देखिए इस पोल्स को विश्वास करना मुश्किल है. आप लोग की गलती, हमने कहा मीडिया की गलती ये है कि आप ये पोल्स को विश्वास कर रहे हैं और आप लिख रहे हैं जैसे जनता ने वोट कर चुके हैं. ये हम मान लें, लेकिन उससे ज्यादा आरोप हम नहीं किए, इसलिए माफी मांगने की मेरे ख्याल में जरूरत नहीं. लेकिन मैं एक चीज कहूँ, हमने कहा कि पोल्स एक्यूरेट नहीं थे, अभी इस साइड पे भी एक्यूरेट नहीं रहा. किसी ने बीजेपी एनडीए को 333 देगा भी, तो ये भी देख लीजिए कि एक्यूरेसी दोनों तरफ से ठीक नहीं हो. मैं खुद एक डिस्कशन में पार्टिसिपेट कर रहा एक चैनल पे इलेक्शन रिजल्ट एक हफ्ते पहले, जिसमें हमने 2 पॉइंट बताए पोल्स के बारे में. एक चीज ये है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी की सपोर्ट सारे पोल्स अंडर काउंट करते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे जैसे वोटर्स हैं, जैसे चाय वाले, इस बार तो चाय वाले शायद हमारे पास नहीं रहे, लेकिन उस बार आप पहले इलेक्शन में देख लीजिए कि चाय वाले हमारे वोटर्स हैं, नर्सेस हमारे वोटर्स हैं, शॉप असिस्टेंट्स हमारे वोटर्स हैं, बाजार में सब्जी बिकने वाले वो तो हमारे वोटर्स हैं, फिशरमैन जो फिश को बेचते हैं वो, दीज आर नॉमिनल वोटर्स. उनको कोई कॉन्टैक्ट नहीं करते हैं पोलिंग करने में. तो इसलिए हिस्टोरिकली कांग्रेस सपोर्ट हैज बीन अंडर काउंटेड. एंड द सेकंड पॉइंट वाज दैट बिग विक्टरीज हैव बीन अंडर एस्टिमेटेड. हमने खुद कहा कि 2004 में जवाब देखा और उससे भी ज्यादा 2009 में जवाब देखा, कोई भी पोल कहा भी नहीं, डिडंट कम क्लोज. तो ये दोनों पॉइंट हैं. लग रहा है कि इस बार शायद कांग्रेस सपोर्ट को अंडर काउंट नहीं किया, लेकिन ये सच है कि बिग विक्ट्री को अंडर एस्टिमेट किया। तो पोलिंग हमारे देश में अभी भी एक इनएग्जैक्ट साइंस है, ये मैं अभी भी कहूँगा और इसके लिए माफी नहीं मांगूंगा। जी सर माफ दूसरा
मायावती ने बोला है कि सीबीआई जांच होनी चाहिए इस मामले में। क्या कांग्रेस भी सीबीआई जांच की मांग कर रही है और दूसरी राष्ट्रीय शासन लागू करने की मांग की मायावती यूपी में, क्योंकि कहा कि लॉ एंड ऑर्डर।
देखिए उसमें तो हम नशे हम शामिल नहीं है। पहले पॉइंट ये है कि राहुल गांधी जी का वहाँ जाने का इरादा मुझे पता नहीं है। मैं कम्युनिकेशन सेक्रेटरी पूछ लिया, कोई खबर नहीं। अगर हमें कुछ कंफर्मेशन दे तो आप लोग को जल्दी बता दें। और जो सीबीआई को सारी चीज़ें सीबीआई के हाथ में देने की खास जरूरत नहीं। अगर जरूरत पड़े, अगर पुलिस इन्वेस्टिगेशन में कोई वीकनेसेस हैं तो हम भी इसके बारे में सोच सकते हैं, लेकिन अभी ये पुलिस के हाथ में है, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के और पुलिस के हाथ में है और उनको अपना काम करने दीजिए। दे मस्ट डू देयर वर्क। तो हम देखिए, मैं इससे ज़्यादा नहीं बोल सकता हूँ, लेकिन अभी राहुल गांधी जी के बारे में आप लोग ने कहा विल फाइंड आउट गेट बैक, लेकिन अभी तो हम ना सीबीआई इंक्वायरी मांग रहे हैं ना प्रेसिडेंट रूल मांग रहे हैं। हम ये विषय को जरा सा स्टडी कर रहे हैं।
How do you look at that lawlessness in the state?
Look, we are concerned about lawlessness anywhere in India. I mean, from our point of view, UP is a state where particular attention should be paid to law and order because of the riots that scarred the face of that state last year. There is already the eyes of the nation are trained on the law and order situation in that state. But we are not right now sitting here condemning the state government. We are urging the state government to take every possible measure. First of all, to investigate this crime and to punish the wrongdoers. And secondly, to ensure that these things don't happen. But we are not going beyond that today. I'm not saying we may not have more to say later. Right now, this is as far as we go.
According to the report from yourself, suggested that Mrs. Gandhi should take up the leader of the opposition challenge. And what is the sense of it?
No, I had spoken at a time when we were still speaking publicly. I should read out to you. During her address to us on Saturday, the Congress President said, I've been asked by the CWC to undertake whatever steps necessary to revamp the party organization at all levels. Your inputs, your experience, your assessment of our strengths and weaknesses, rather than public acrimony, will be critical to that exercise. So after that, I have preferred to confine my suggestions to within the party and to the leaders concerned directly. So please excuse me for not repeating certain views, but I have made the general point in the past and prepared to make it again, that the political leadership of the party has to be the face of the party to the nation as well.
So
And that is, I'm talking about the political leadership of the party. I'll leave it there. Okay, I've already come to you. Go to somebody who hasn't asked a question. I'll come back to you again. Ji.
सर आप तो ये कह रहे हैं कि आप अपना ओपिनियन अपने पास रख रहे हैं, लेकिन कांग्रेस के दूसरे जो लीडर्स हैं, किशोर चंद्र देव, उन्होंने कहा है कि जो एडवाइजर कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट और वाइस प्रेसिडेंट के आसपास थे, उन लोगों ने रिसीव किया। कल केरल से आपके स्टेट के जो मिनिस्टर है, फॉर्मर मिनिस्टर, उन्होंने सीधा सीधा राहुल गांधी के ऊपर सवाल उठाया। ऐसे लोगों का क्या है?
देखिए, वो केरला में जो जिसने कहा, हम कहेंगे कि तो ये इनएप्रोप्रिएट लफ्ज़ थे, ऐसे शब्द हम राजनीति में और एक पार्टी के अंदर कभी इस्तेमाल नहीं करते हैं। और आपको शायद पता है कि केपीसीसी ने उनको सस्पेंशन दिया है पेंडिंग इंक्वायरी में। शायद वो अपॉलोजाइज करेगा, क्लैरिफाई करेगा, मुझे मालूम नहीं, लेकिन अभी तक उनका स्टेटस ये है कि सस्पेंशन हो गया है। बाकी सब जो लोग कह रहे हैं, उनका पूरा हक है कि आके कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट को, कांग्रेस वाइस प्रेसिडेंट को या उनके स्टेट के जनरल सेक्रेटरी को सारे इसको समझा सकेंगे। हमारे जो आजकल के प्रोसेस चल रहे हैं, कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट सारे ओपिनियन समझ के ही निश्चय करेगी अंत में कि हमारी पार्टी के लिए किस तरह की रिवाइवल होना चाहिए। मैं ये भी कहूँगा कि कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट मॉरल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मांगे, प्रेसिडेंट और वाइस प्रेसिडेंट दोनों, CWC के साथ, और CWC ने इसको रिजेक्ट करके कहा कि नहीं, आप लोग ही नहीं। उसके बाद उन दोनों के बारे में बोलने में कोई मतलब नहीं है, क्योंकि जिम्मेदारी इनको वापस दिया है। CWC हमारे हाईएस्ट डिसीजन मेकिंग बॉडी है। और उसके बाद यस, आपने कहा, जो कहा ठीक ही कहा कि बहुत लोग उनके ओपिनियन एक्सप्रेस किए हैं। उसके बाद अभी पार्लियामेंट्री पार्टी में प्रेसिडेंट आके
जो सोचन देव जो एडवाइजर की बात कर रहे हैं, जो कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट और वाइस प्रेसिडेंट के आसपास जो टीम राहुल या जो भी है, उनके ऊपर जो सवाल उठा रहे हैं उस पर आप
देखिए, कोई भी ऑफिस बेरर का हक है कि उनके स्टाफ को खुद चुन ले. You cannot tell me who should advise me, right? I can take as much advice as I want from whoever I want. तो ये कभी मत सोचिए कि हमारे वाइस प्रेसिडेंट को सिर्फ एक ग्रुप एडवाइजर्स हैं. हम सब उनके एडवाइजर्स हैं. जब वो यूपीए में कांग्रेस वाइस प्रेसिडेंट बना, क्या उनके एडवाइजर्स में कोई यूपीए मंत्री नहीं थे, कोई मिनिस्टर्स ऑफ स्टेट उनके दोस्त नहीं थे? क्या हम लोग जो सरकार में काम करते थे उनसे कभी बात नहीं करते थे? सिर्फ 3-4 एडवाइजर उनके साथ एक कमरे के अंदर बैठ के बात कर रहे थे. ये भी सोचिए कि इसमें कुछ लॉजिक होना चाहिए. जब वाइस प्रेसिडेंट कुछ काम के लिए कोई एडवाइजर्स के साथ या कोई सेक्रेटरी के साथ या कोई असिस्टेंट के साथ बात करते हैं, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि कोई और एडवाइजर्स नहीं है. There cannot be that there is no other source of advice available to him. Rahul Gandhi is somebody who has gone through the country. He has seen people in every state. He has talked to party leaders, ministers from all backgrounds. He is not confining himself to the 3 or 4 people on his staff. So ये भी सोचिए, I think that if there is a failure of advice, we are all equally responsible because we have all been his advisors to a greater or lesser degree, all of us in the party. So I'm taking people who have not asked me anything. देखिए, एक चीज समझ लीजिए, ये कांग्रेस पार्टी ने नहीं निश्चय किया कि रॉबर्ट वाड्रा या कोई इंडिविजुअल को ये सिक्योरिटी क्लियरेंस देना या नहीं देना है, या चेक होना या नहीं होना है. ये एसपीजी के रिपोर्ट, एसपीजी के प्रोटेक्टीज जो है उनके लिए एक नियम होते हैं, और उसमें तो ना कांग्रेस पार्टी का कुछ लेना देना है ना कोई और पार्टी का. ये एसपीजी का है. और देखिए, अगर एसपीजी सरकार के साथ बातचीत करके उनके लिस्ट को अमेंड करे कोई सिक्योरिटी बेसिस के ऊपर, मतलब ये नहीं होगा कि बिना सिक्योरिटी चेंज से कि हम कुछ तय करें. कांग्रेस पार्टी को उसमें कहने की कुछ, मतलब हम शुरुआत में कुछ नहीं कहा और अभी भी कुछ कहने की जरूरत नहीं है. ये तो एक टेक्निकल प्रोफेशनल डिसीजन था पहले और रहना चाहिए फ्यूचर में. इसमें कोई पॉलिटिसाइजेशन नहीं होना चाहिए. हमारी पोजीशन ये है कि देश की सुरक्षा और देश की कोई व्यक्तियों की सुरक्षा पॉलिटिसाइज नहीं करना चाहिए. सिक्योरिटी एक्सपर्ट्स के हाथ में ये छोड़ने के लिए. No, my position is very clear. The Congress party had nothing to do with either the grant or the withdrawal of security to any individual. We have always believed that security of the nation and the security of certain prominent individuals in the nation is a matter for the security professionals and not something to be politicized. Therefore, we neither made a political issue out of the grant of security, nor do we think it is appropriate for anyone to make a political issue and demand the withdrawal of security. The issue must be left to the security professionals. Whatever they decide will be, we assume, on the basis of a proper threat assessment and the proper judgment as to how security cover should or should not be granted. You understand that the Home Ministry and the SPG and other bodies normally go through periodic reviews of security provisions and of the beneficiaries of security. Let us leave it to them to do a professional job. As I said before, I repeat again, the Congress party has not taken a position on this in the past, will not take a position on this in the future. It is a matter for the professionals of security to make decisions on security.
सोमैया ने राहुल गांधी का पहले आरोप लगाए थे जब डिफेंस मिनिस्टर के तौर पर, आज फिर वो डिफेंस और सोमैया वहीं पर है. आपको लगता है आप चाहेंगे कि इस्तीफा होना चाहिए राहुल गांधी का या मांगे सोमैया?
देखिए, हम कोई व्यक्ति के खिलाफ नहीं, लेकिन हम एक चीज जानना चाहते हैं. When the BJP attacks people in the Congress when they are serving in government and accuses them of corruption, and the same BJP appoints the same people as ministers, then the larger question that comes to our mind is, does it not show that all the attacks of the BJP on the UPA ministers were purely political? Because clearly if they were substantive attacks, if they genuinely believed in their attacks, then they would not change their position the moment the person concerned changes the party. It cannot be that Mr. X is corrupt when he's in the UPA and is lily white when he's in the BJP. So my question is not, you have asked me a question, I'm asking the BJP a question. How serious are you, Mr. Kiran Somaiya, how serious are you, BJP, about the various accusations you have made against various UPA ministers? It's a simple case of where you stand depends on where you sit. If you sit on the BJP side, you're fine. If you sit on the UPA side, then the stand is against you. इसका क्या मतलब होता है? I'm leaving it to them to figure.
Last two questions. Yeah, my last two.
My question is related to the Lok Sabha. As you are claiming that our fight is with the ideology. My question is rather than fighting this Lok Sabha election with the ideology, you have fought this election with the personality. So do you think this is a completely strategical failure of that defeat?
No, but listen, you have to understand that the BJP projected the personality instead of the ideology. The ideology has failed to win a majority of the elections in the history of our democracy. Other than the elections of 98 and 99, the ideology today represented by the BJP, earlier by the Jan Sangh and others, has never ever attracted a significant majority of votes or seats in this country. So therefore they have chosen a different tactic, which is to protect an individual, which left us no choice but to oppose the individual because we have to fight on the battlefield that we have before us. We continue to oppose the ideology. We have never changed our view on the ideology. But you cannot criticize us for fighting a campaign against an individual when that individual is being projected. Look at the posters even today in literary parts of our country. They are posters of Shri Modi, not so much posters about BJP ideology. It has been, from their side, a personality-centered campaign, and that's why we had to fight on them.
Sir, on this, Nrendra Mishra's ordinance, will the Congress party support it?
Look, I don't think that that particular issue has been brought to us by the ruling party. The normal procedure on any such matter is that the government will come to the head of the party or the appropriate person if it's a parliamentary matter and say, look, we will appreciate your cooperation. When such a request comes, I'm sure the party will consider it. Remember that we are only talking principles here. Not one person in the Congress has said one word against the individual concerned. We are just saying this is the same BJP that opposed ordinances when UPA passed. Why is the ordinance route suddenly appropriate in this case when Parliament is meeting next week? This is our question. Please understand that, we are not trying to conduct opposition the way the BJP conducted opposition. We want to remain at the level of policy, of principle. We want to ask questions in a pointed way. We believe the opposition exists to serve the nation just as much as the government exists to serve the nation. We are not there to merely point accusing fingers at individuals and give blame to individuals. So let us leave Mr. Mishra out of this. What is the BJP stand on the suitability of ordinances? Not just in this case, but in future cases. And how can they reconcile that to the stand they took when the UPA tried to produce ordinances? That is my question. Thank you very much.
Ravi Shankar Prasad said there should be a debate on uniform civil code. Does the Congress agree to it? Should there be a debate?
The country is going through a very important transition now. We appreciate that. But that does not imply a license to reopen every sensitive issue that can tear this country apart in terms of emotions and political anxieties. We have already seen an unnecessary controversy over Article 370, immediately withdrawn after that trial balloon was floated. The Uniform Civil Code is an issue on which there are many communities who have separate personal laws, not just Muslims as some in the BJP keep alleging. There is also a civil code for the Sikhs. There are civil personal laws for Christian communities. There are personal laws available to the Parsis. Are we now today going to show everybody who is not a Hindu that somehow they have to subscribe to somebody else's definition of how they should lead the most sensitive aspects of their personal life, marriage, inheritance, divorce, death? I mean, these are incredibly sensitive questions. When such issues were raised during the campaign, Mr. Modi had issued a statement telling his own supporters, do not create distractions from our central message. I would ask him respectfully today, are you going to encourage such distractions from what you have said is your central message of development? Does this have anything to do with the development agenda on which you contested this election, on which clearly 31% of the nation has voted for you? We respect that mandate. We will always respect the people's verdict. But should you be reopening extremely contentious and sensitive issues? Should you be provoking unpleasantness, division and bitterness in a society that is just coming forward after an election. Is this the kind of distraction that the nation can afford? That is our question.
Sir, I have one question. Mr. Tharoor, on BJP and ADMK.